Welcome back. It is a nice cool day today. It is later in the afternoon, but we are not going to fly the birds just yet. We're going to try a little bit of change today. And we'll see that in this video anyway later on. But these little guys are doing pretty well. Pretty eager to come out. I think I gave them a light feed this morning. Reason being is I've spoken to Frank earlier. He's the guy that's let me fly these birds, which are the Hop Auctions ones. There's a few of those there. There's another one here. And he watched the videos too, so he's gave me a few pointers on how we can get these young birds moving. All the birds actually, but more specifically trying to get these little young ones flying and up with the rest of them, which he is 100% saying that we can. No problems at all, because he's got some of the similar age that are up, no problems, and will make it. So we've got a few little tips that we're going to try differently, which we will go over a little bit in this video, and more so if they actually are reasonably effective. We've still got about 7, I think, of the orange ring birds here. We lost some with the falcons, but 7, that's still pretty good numbers. The recessive red's still here too, which is cool because that's a nice colour, not one that I've had before. So molting out quite nicely. You see it's starting to get a bit darker there. But the first step is we have lightened the feed. I generally feed a bit heavier. So the first thing is we're going to lighten the feed, because I probably feed the birds too much, and my birds are probably on the fatter side potentially. Because they're definitely not underweight, and they definitely don't get underfed either. So I am cutting them back. They're going to get their required food, and they're going to get a lighter mix, because my mix has a lot of corn and peas, vetch, a lot of safflower, sunflower, things like that. So we're cutting it back a bit more, so there'll be more oats, more kalo, more wheat as well. So sort of giving them that lighter mix, which hopefully that will get them a little bit more moving. They're doing pretty well, but we've got a bit of a little feat ahead of us, so we're going to move these birds a bit quicker. Oh man, Dark Storm, you're a good looking little hen, aren't you? She is beautiful. We'll see how well you fly. And there's her brother there as well. So we will see how we will go. And on the other side of that as well is we're going to start over the rest of this week. We're going to start flying. Hey, you're being a bit cheeky. That's Shock's little baby. Get back out there. Come on. He is super keen. He always tries and gets out because he wants to go for a fly every time I open it up. And we're going to get these ones out. But instead of flying around about that 4 o'clock, we're going to try and fly them as close as possible to dusk, before the sun actually starts to set too much, in the hope that the falcon, now that the weather's cooled down, has had all day to feed. Because before anyone gets in the comments and you need to let them out this time and this time and this time, I've actually tried every single time of the day in the hot weather and the cold weather, and the falcon's there. So this is the one that I haven't tried, which is close on dusk. So hopefully the birds it may work. So we're going to try that one as well. That's a little bit of advice from Frank that we're going to at least try. I'm not making too many changes. I don't want to, the birds don't like changes too much. So we'll try at least lightening their food, because I think, definitely some of these birds are probably a little bit heavy. So that will be one thing that we do. And then we'll be flying in that late afternoon, hoping that we can get in a good 30 minutes to 40 minutes. Even if we can start getting a good solid 20 minutes in, that's a good thing. And speaking to him as well, that 1.5 kilometre tosses will be beneficial to these birds to get them moving shortly when they're ready. And looking at the tossing as well, we lost a lot of birds between 10 and 20 kilometres last year. It seems to be a really bad spot for us. There's a bunch of reasons, but the two main ones I can think of are there's a lot of falcons in that area, because we're starting to get into the metro, in around the city, power and all that kind of stuff. And there's all the main power lines that come into the city come in through the path that we're tossing as well. So, and they are the high voltage lines. So this year we're going to try something. Oh, it's a beautiful bluebird. It's one of Leon Storm's babies. So this season we might just stop at 10 kilometers, but try them a lot more. Last year we went all the way out to 75 and we lost too many birds, especially in that shorter bit. So this year we're going to try, well, I'm going to get them to 10 and see how they go, but we'll go to 20 and then we'll just get them on those shorter races, because they'll definitely be able to do it. I've no disbelief that they will, because a lot of these older birds like these guys, most of them being out to 400, 500 kilometers. So I think we'll be right. We're just got to take it a little bit slower and just try and get a few birds ready, which we've still got around about 7 weeks before the first race. And we may even have to look at sprint 2 as well. It's not one I wanted to do this season, but yeah, it's probably fair on these young ones. We'll be able to get them on the really short ones. Sprint 2 this year has 3 really short ones, which I think are like 140 kilometers. So yeah, I feel a bit more comfortable with that. And then I think 3, probably 4, 5, 6 weeks into the race season, it will go to the spot where the first race is in the main race. So these guys kind of can at least get to these spots, I think, quite comfortably. So yeah, it's given me a bit more confidence, I think, to get these little birds moving. So we will wait and see. I will get them out for a fly later and we'll get some footage and see how that turns out. Like I said before, I've gave these guys a light feed earlier on because we're pushing back their normal feeding time by about 2 hours maybe, because I want to get them out in that late afternoon fly, and hopefully that the falcon has eaten, or it's eaten enough that it only, you know, plays with the pigeons and doesn't really sort of give them too much grief. So yeah, we'll try it. It's, you know, got to try everything. So that's what we're going to try. And we'll have a little bit of a close look in here. I still have to go through and start more thinking on those, basically the birds that we are going to use for the following season for breeding. I know some people said, oh, don't even think about breeding yet, focus on the young birds. Well, you know what, I like to plan ahead. Other people probably don't. They like to live day to day, that type of stuff. But I like to start thinking ahead, and that's just the way I operate. So that's what we're doing. I can't sit here and think, you know, get 2-3 weeks away from breeding season and go, oh, who are we going to use to breed this year? No, we are thinking well and truly ahead. So, you know, if you don't plan, then you really don't get too far anywhere. So we're planning definitely ahead this year, and sort of planning, you know, focusing a little bit different on things. I was just having a look at a pigeon over there. I thought he was going to come over here, but he's been a bit funny. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We are focusing only on the young birds, but in that downtime, especially for night time, just having a look through the pedigrees and looking at what birds we got and where we want to go in the future. A lot of the birds in the race loft at the moment, they're all, you know, short to middle distance birds. There is a few of the middle to longer birds in the second group of young birds we've got there, so it's good to see how they go. These are longer distance birds as well, and so are these ones down here, which are our Pattaya ones. So my focus now is shifting into the one loft birds and the longer distance, sort of hard day, the more resilient birds. And that's all the birds we've brought in. That's why I'm starting to think, who can we pair here, who can we do what, things like that. So that's why I am thinking about pairing and that kind of stuff, and who we're going to use and how many hens we got. Because if I am not happy with the pairs, we can look at figuring out what kind of birds we want, and then we can look in the upcoming auctions over the next, the auction season starts in the race season. So we've got a few months there to, if we really need to, buy a hen if something nice pops up. Because I've got plenty of cocks, I just don't have a good amount of hens that we can choose from. And that's what I'm saying, like, plan ahead, you know, setting a little bit of money aside, and thinking, you know, if there's a certain hen comes up that we might try, we can. But we just ended up with so many cockbirds, especially with the 8 that we brought in with the Krugers and all those type. We ended up only with 2 hens out of that whole bunch, where it was meant to end with 4. So it's yeah, it's just one of those things. You got to think ahead, you got to plan, and I will give you some feedback tomorrow how this new strategy is working, if it goes any good, and I'll get some videos.